Welcome back, Astro listeners, to Star Lady Soul Reader Network. This is Media Monk, and I'm pleased to be joined by our shining star of the zodiac. It's Star Lady. Hi, Star Lady.
Hello, Media Monk.
And we all remember that Star Lady is the managing director for the Evolutionary Astrology Network. We do certify new evolutionary astrologers regularly. And we also have a lot of other stuff on our website, including free podcasts like this one, our Astro Library, and you might want to take a peek at that EA course for the dog days of summer months here if you're interested in learning more about the methodology behind EA. Here we are. It is the dog days, so it must be the full moon of Aquarius. So we got a lot going on in our life. We are going to be taking a summer sabbatical here for a couple of weeks. So I just turn it over to you, Star Lady. You can kind of highlight what we have going on and let everybody know about the current transits.
All right. Thank you, Media Monk. We are recording this Full Moon of Aquarius podcast several days early. The full moon is August 1st. At 9 degrees, Sun in Leo, Moon in Aquarius. And as Media Monk said, we are getting ready to vacate the house for a couple of weeks. We do this every year when the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally comes to town. We've rented our house out for over 2 decades during the rally, and now we have some pretty steady vendors that come in, which is really sweet for us. However, it does require a little bit of a push to get ourselves ready before we can go camping, which this year we are going to do South Dakota and Wyoming. We haven't been camping in the Bighorns of Wyoming in quite a while, so we're both a little bit excited about that. This full moon of Aquarius is going to be a supermoon, and what that means is on the Earth's annual transit around the sun, there are a couple times a year where the moon will appear closer. Its orbit actually brings it just a little closer to the sun, and with supermoons, the moon can be anywhere from 10 to 14% larger than what it typically is. So, supermoon, full moons, sometimes they can be just a little more potent because we know how the moon pulls the tides and pulls our emotions. And this particular supermoon is going to have a T-square with Jupiter slowing down in Taurus. And as I was doing my prep for the podcast, it's kind of like we have some nice trines going on, but we've got some oppositions and several squares, and we got Pluto getting ready to square the nodes. So there's this energy between things being harmonious and flowing, and then something bubbling up to the surface full of tension. And let's include Venus retrograde in Leo within that, because while Venus has been slowing down to turn stationary retrograde July 23rd, 28.5 Leo, it is doing this within an orb of waxing square to Uranus. And as a matter of fact, Venus retrograde is going to make 3 waxing squares to Uranus in Taurus and 3 waxing squares to Jupiter in Taurus. And so that's some of that tense square energy that can get us a little feisty, that can get us a little fixed signs, set in our ways. And I don't want to do the Venetian review, but we may need to. We might be needing to look for a little more Venus retrograde Leo, Aquarius polarity, objectivity in our world. And here is that full moon of Aquarius helping us out with that. Media Monk, I'm just going to remind you, sweetie, that you may want to mute yourself unless you were waiting to say something.
Oops.
There's a one word comment. And I've been saying that this Venus retrograde in Leo may be a little feisty for a retrograde cycle. And, we look at Venus retrograde as, the values review, the relationships review. But to have these squares with Jupiter and Uranus, it just really touches on security issues, resource issues, financial issues, maybe being stuck in our ways. A partner wants to change, but we don't, or vice versa. Or your mother gets feisty with you because of her perceptions of things. And so, again, this is a little bit of a feistier Venus retrograde. Use all this Aquarian energy of the full moon to just step back, and you can get some of these Venus retrograde ahas coming through before Venus's interior conjunction to the Sun, which will happen August 13th at 20.5 degrees Leo. And we can get some, again, visions, some pre-big moments. Oh, this is what's going on. Oh, here's how I see it from another person's perspective. Let me just kind of step back and calm down a little bit so that I'm not the feisty one. Easier said than done. Media Monk, you don't have to unmute, because Media Monk and I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth because Venus went retrograde on his Pluto, and we figured that one out on our the last weekend or so. But we smoothed through it, and that's where those trines are starting to come in. Venus, while it's squaring Jupiter and Uranus, is making nice trines to the North Node in Aries. And it can allow us to get insight to ourselves. But Venus retrograde is also sextiling the South Node in Libra. It allows us to have some of those communications with someone else to see how they're being triggered in whatever relationship it is, not just intimate. And then on the full moon, August 1st, we will have Mercury pulled into, with Mars, trines to Jupiter. And so this is actually a full moon where we can be, a little bit of a busybody, get things done. Yes, in the Northern Hemisphere, so many of us want to play, and that seems to be an annual pattern for Media Monk and I. With these Earth trines, Mars to Jupiter, especially right on that full moon, balance the work and play. Balance the work and play however it is showing up for you. Now, Venus as an evening star retrograde is sinking in the western sky really fast. If you have some clear nights that you can watch the western horizon, you may be able to see Venus, you may be able to see Mercury, Mars. Mercury gets close to Mars, but they do not have a conjunction until after the Mercury retrograde. And Mercury goes into pre-shadow August 4th, but let's just say this full moon of Aquarius is the initiation of Mercury's first passage through its degrees in Virgo. Mercury is going to be retrograde August 23rd through September 15th. Mercury goes retrograde at 22 Virgo, and it goes direct at 8 degrees Virgo. And I do not have my day timer in front of me, but I think we put the Mercury retrograde. Media Monk, maybe you could check for me and see when we're going to do our free Pay It Forward Mercury retrograde class, and you can interrupt me when you find that date. Maybe it might be Monday the 20th. I think it might be Monday the 21st, but thank you, honey.
Yeah.
So here we are with, Venus retrograde. What about me? What about you? And how do we balance that? And then we're going to have Mercury in Virgo 2 months, July 28th through October 4th. It's going to do a retrograde cycle entirely in Virgo. So, inner, outer criticism, crises, blow-ups, procrastinations, or Mercury retrograde in Virgo. How do we handle whatever arises for us, putting one foot in front of the other? So here again, there's going to be that theme of kind of balancing work and play here and allowing this Venus and Mercury retrograde through the course of this summer in the month of August to really help us get some clarity on what we really value in our life, and therefore what we prioritize to put our efforts and energy into in improving our world. You know, Mercury retrograde in Virgo is a huge self-improvement cycle. And Mercury retrograde in Virgo is, you know, whatever the details are in your life, just, you know, that centipede, as Jeffrey Green used to say, one foot in front of another, this step, that step, what do I do next, what do I do next? And it can help us kind of calm down some of that Virgo busybodiness that can have a tendency to happen. Now, what we will find also on that supermoon, full moon, in addition to a Mars-Jupiter trine, we have Saturn in Virgo Mercury in Virgo opposing Saturn retrograde in Pisces. And so can we take that time to calm our mind and allow some of that intuition to really, really shine forth for us? One thing to note about Saturn in the month of August is that it's going to have the second of 3 waning semi-squares to Chiron. They are both retrograde now. That second waning semi-square, that's 315 degrees around the circle, Saturn moves compared to starting point Chiron. August 15th, Saturn's going to be at 5 degrees Pisces, retrograde, and Chiron is retrograde at 20 degrees Aries. And so they won't have a conjunction, by the way, until 2028, one conjunction at about 7 Taurus. So, but they're entering, you know, the last eighth of the circle to each other. That balsamic phase of any two planets is being able to surrender. By the way, I did a forecast earlier on Saturn in Pisces and that form and formless and all that energy between Saturn wanting to manifest and Neptune, i.e. Pisces, and their balsamic phase with each other, that Pisces energy wanting to surrender, let it go, and dissolve. Now, Saturn to Chiron, it will have some major themes in regards to healing. Saturn's in Pisces, and Pisces is that ultimate spark from source, whether it is manifesting a imbalance or whether it is manifesting a healing energetic aha that brings about one of those miraculous healings. By the way, a couple of years ago, I did a free webinar for EA Zoom. You can find that on their YouTube channel, EA Zoom. What did I do? The opportunity to heal with trauma. The opportunity to heal with trauma. I'm pretty sure that was the name of it. It was a real good overview on how we manifest imbalances and or diseases and how we self-heal. And that's going to be the theme for Saturn this year. as it makes 3 of these waning semi-squares to Chiron. What's rising to the surface that's no longer in my highest and best health-wise? And how is Chiron in Aries sparking to initiate new healing modalities, new healing patterns for myself? And oh, by the way, I do love that original phrase. I think it was Barbara Hand Clow who coined the phrase of Chiron being the wounded healer. I really do like that idea of, as we look at our own traumas and our own wounds, Uranus, Chiron, and we make efforts to heal, then we really can rebirth ourselves as the healer, the shaman, the psychic, the one who has gifts to share. That is what these Saturn waning semi-squares to Chiron are all about. And by the way, just for you, just to review those dates for you, hold on just a second. I have to find this right here, February 23rd. And, of course, the one that's going to happen August 14th, 15th. And then the third and final one will be November 25th. So they're going to stay kind of in the same orb here throughout the rest of this summer, moving into fall. And then when we have that third waning semi-square, Saturn will then move into balsamic phase with Chiron until their conjunctions in 28. So again, if you've not familiarized yourself with this, it's the opportunity to heal with trauma. Free webinar on EA Zoom. All right. Yes.
Yeah, we're going to do that Mercury retrograde in Virgo Pay It Forward webinar on August 21st. That's a Monday evening, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, as always. And so pass that along to, all the family, friends, and colleagues you want, because it's a Pay It Forward event. And you'll be getting the registration link directly in our newsletters, and I'll probably send out 1 or 2 separate, just kind of announcing the free webinar. So August 21st, 6 p.m.
All right. Oops. Media Monk just signed himself off. That's okay. I'll go ahead. I've pretty much said what I wanted to say. Just, I guess, one final little tidbit in regards to this harmony, disharmony, ease, and feistiness that's going on is the Sun in Leo, waxing square to Jupiter August 6th at 14 degrees, Leo Taurus. Yeah, I heard you come back on, Media Monk. And then August 15th, right before the new moon of Leo, the Sun will make a waxing square to Uranus at 23 degrees, Leo Taurus. So that new moon will still have those Leo Taurus squares in it going on. So breathe deep. And Leo, it's really about deeply loving ourselves on an inner level. And then we minimize what we want or expect or project out there onto others, which is what this Venus retrograde is always about as well. How do I love myself, especially in Leo? How do I value myself, Venus retrograde? And then that allows me to ebb and flow, shift and change, however necessary in my world, be as harmonious with others as I can be. Just one more reminder, I did do a Venus retrograde in Leo webinar. You can find it on our forecasting page if you are interested. All right, everyone, I hope you are enjoying your summer. We are looking forward to mountains and hiking and lakes and swimming, and we love the outdoors in the summer. Wishing you all well until we see you on the new moon.
Look forward to the Mercury retrograde in Virgo, August 21st, 6 p.m.
Thank you, everyone.